Hey everybody, welcome to Shop Talk and Style. This is Tony Santini. I decided to make this about video because I felt like it might be important to understand maybe why I decided to start this channel, and also a little bit about my background in the salon industry. I started when I was 19 in 1997, so this has been quite a ride. I actually made some notes that are here in front of me just in case I forget a few things. There's some main points that I felt like were really important for me to share, not only because it's my life experience in this industry, but also because I feel like it could be relevant and maybe helpful to other people too that are in this industry or even in a different industry and they're contemplating their career right now. I've been at home for like 10 weeks. It's the most bizarre situation I've ever been through. I've never been off work this long. I've worked since I was an early teenager, and I've been doing nothing but thinking and being re-inspired. So this has been great. Anyway, I started when I was 19 in a small town in northern Michigan, and it was a great experience. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I left high school early. I didn't really fit in socially in high school, and I just didn't know what I wanted to do. And I had a friend who was a hairdresser at the time. He was about 10 years older than me. He'd been in the industry for a little bit and was like, hey, it's amazing. You get to socialize. You get to listen to music. Music, by the way, is a major inspiration for me. And he's like, you only have to go to school for a year. And I was like, you only have to go to school for a year. Like, I am in, right? So I put my $75 down and like saved a spot in the class. And I was like, I'm going to learn how to cut hair. This will be great. Whatever. I don't know what to do. So I'm going to cut hair. Well, I got in and I was super into it. I was wanting to do my homework. I was wanting to learn about it. I mean, the first 2 weeks we didn't even have any hands-on stuff. And I was like reading about it all the time. And I was like, holy cow, like I'm really into this. So once I graduated, it didn't take me real long to build a clientele. I'll be honest, I was willing to do anything. Like I stayed extra hours. I worked all the time. I just found it fascinating doing hair and being around people. So it was an incredible experience. I did realize though that I was going to hit a wall, or a ceiling, I guess you could say, in northern Michigan. Small town. Really wasn't going to be able to do much career-wise there, so I had to make a decision. Am I going to stay here and be satisfied, or should I hit the road? And I started talking to a lot of people about places to go, and I decided, hey, maybe I'll check out Madison, Wisconsin. Sounds like a cool place. It was close. I could drive 4 hours. Yeah, but what I do, I went down and partied on the weekend anyway, so it didn't really matter. I ended up finding this job actually it ended up being a great salon, but my car broke down in the parking lot, so they offered me to use their phone, and then I started talking to them, and they gave me a tour, and it was like, wow, this is a really neat connection, actually. I'm actually enjoying speaking with these people and seeing the salon, and they invited me back for an interview, and I got a job. I was 21 at the time, and there was another stylist that was interviewing for the position, and the owner gave it to me, and it was like one of the most inspiring moments of my life. I had taken all my piercings out and wore long sleeves so my tattoos weren't visible, and was like totally ready to change my life, and it was incredible. And I worked there for 8 years. In the meantime, while I was at the salon, I had gone to a hair show, and it was a Redken hair show. And I was watching this presenter. I don't even remember what his name was, but he sounded like he just knew everything. Totally knew what to say, how to say it. And it was just so inspiring listening to this person talk on stage that I thought to myself, I want to be like that. Like, I want to know what that guy knows. And so I started talking to people, our distributor consultants, and going to the hair shows and asking to volunteer and putting in a lot of time just for free because I was so enthralled with the whole process of how this worked. And the idea of a show as this young guy coming from northern Michigan was also incredibly fascinating, right? Like, wow, love to be part of this. So I volunteered for a while, and then eventually the company Redken put together this training program for what they called Redken artists. And Redken artists were being trained on how to facilitate educational programs, teach about their color lines, their product lines, and eventually like skill sets. So I went to work with Redken. I consulted with them basically. I was an independent contractor. I did my own bookings. I set my own programs up, and I just kept going through more and more trainings. And eventually I got to a point where I was doing hands-on programs, I was doing stage presentations, upwards of hundreds of people sometimes, and working with some really, really great people in the industry. I remember my first time I was on stage with Sam Villa. It was like, oh, this is such a neat experience to be on stage with this guy and just have it be like a cool reality. But Ellen Lawler, I mean, there's a million names that I could toss out right now, but that's not what this is about. It's more about the experience that I had with Redken. I learned so much working next to stylists that were from different areas of the world and supporting them and learning from them and really seeing things that I had never seen before. Just incredible. And I was a sponge. I just wanted to soak it all up. And so Redken started sending me to different parts of the country to teach in other salons. And this was really a neat experience too, because I got to be kind of one-on-one with the salon owner at first and find out how I could help them, what they needed. And then at the same time, I was being trained on salon business, styling, cutting, coloring, and then how to work with all of that in their product line, right? So it was super cool. Plus I got to travel and like it was paid for. So I was so excited about that. And I did that for 8 years. And I got to a point where I had an opportunity to do something that was a little bit more closer to the corporate side of Redken, and I love the company. They changed my life. But it wasn't me. And in the meantime, I had left the salon that I was at and started my own salon. And I began working on my own brand. I was really involved in it. It was hybrid salon is what we called it. I had a business partner to start out with, and we had decided that we wanted to bring together really different people in the industry and have a very creative environment. And so we called it hybrid because it was really a collaboration of a lot of different people doing different things and learning in different ways and executing their art, I guess you could say, in multiple ways as well. We were very interested in testing new things out, trying new techniques, trying new business techniques, and being creative with our business. It was a great run, and then we split about 3 years into it, and I continued on with the salon. My business partner moved away, and I grew it even more. Continued to hire people, continued to coach and develop my stylists so that they could build their business and continue to grow. I coached with our front desk people and taught them how to make extra money. I had business plans set in place for them so that they knew how to grow their own income, and they just kind of flourished for a long time there. And then we decided to move locations, built out a new location, continued to grow. And in the meantime, things were going really smooth. It was really quite something to be part of this little group that was so enthusiastic about what they were doing and learning and growing. And I was able to coach these stylists one-on-one every month, and they had goals that we set, and we worked with how to surpass those goals and continuously make more money. And it was quite cool, I have to say. And then I got to a point where I could actually kind of step away a little bit. So I took a day off of work. I was a workaholic. I worked all the time. I loved it. And I also didn't know how to do anything else. So I just was so into it. I worked a lot. So when I had this extra day off during the week, I kind of was like, well, what else can I do? And I had found a rental salon online that was for sale. It was about 2.5 hours away. And I went up and checked it out, and I kind of like secret shopped. I had long hair at the time, and I went in for a blowout, and I'm sure the stylist was like, what the hell is this guy doing, right? Coming in to get his hair blown out. It was really funny after she found out later on what was happening. But I was like, oh, it's a rental salon, and they kind of do their own thing. There's a front desk staff, and each stylist is really independent, and I didn't really have to be there. So I thought, well, this could be like a really great opportunity. So I bought in. I bought the salon, changed a few things, worked with the renters, really tried to understand where they were coming from. They lived in an area that was a very different demographic than where I lived. So it was really important for me to understand like how they'd been working, who they'd been working with, who was their clientele. In order to market properly, I really needed to understand what was happening there and then offer some opportunities of change. Basically, the whole point is always, can I increase the level of success for these people, whatever that means to them? And it was the same for myself, and it was the same for my stylist in my commission salon, as well as my rental salon. So we got real creative and put some ideas into place. It's a little more difficult working with independent stylists in that way because it's their business. Like they're calling the shots. They know what they're doing. They know the way they want to do it. So you can throw things out, and that was cool. Some stuff stuck, some stuff didn't. Some stuff stuck that shouldn't have stuck. I mean, I come up with a lot of ideas sometimes, and it's hard to kind of slow it down. So, made some adjustments. Some things worked, some things didn't. And after about 4.5 years with them, I sold it. In the meantime, I know this sounds crazy, but I was contacted by Redken. I hadn't been working with them for a while, and the Salon Professional Academy. It's a cosmetology school academy that Redken partners with. So they don't necessarily support them, but they do partner with them product-wise and support them in that way. And they had done a study on the area that I lived and thought, this is a great place. This area could heavily support a cosmetology school, and I was contacted and asked if I would like to or would consider opening one there. And really not something that I had thought about doing, although I will say this, at the time I was having a really hard time finding stylists and keeping stylists. And so when this idea came up, I started talking more about it, and I really learned that cosmetology school could be a way to grow employees for my business and teach them all the fundamentals and coach them about having a real healthy salon business for themselves. And then, of course, it would benefit me as the salon owner and the salon and the client. I learned a really important rule right off the bat, prior to this actually, about testing things out or creating opportunities in the salon. And I always followed the rule of it had to benefit the stylist, the guest or the client, and the salon. And those three things always had to benefit, or we weren't going to do it. I allowed my stylist to get real creative on things that they wanted to try out, and we did all kinds of little events and things for our clientele and engaged a lot with them. It was fun, but we really had to follow those three rules. So when I got into the cosmetology school, I started meeting with this group, the Salon Professional Academy, and it was really intriguing. I gotta be honest. Like, they really seemed to have it together. They had a great plan. They had a great format. It really sounded and seemed to me like they wanted to grow their stylists with a lot of integrity, and it was something that I believed in. And in the meantime, I was full of assets, right? Like, I'd been growing all these little businesses and saving money because I worked all the time, didn't do anything. And I was in a really good position to buy into this, and I was able to go in and fund the whole thing myself, which was really cool. To have enough assets to take a loan like that to build a business, it was very empowering and very scary at the same time. I'm not going to go into all the dirty details, but it didn't go the way it was planned. Let's put it that way. And I believe that the universe had a plan on why this was going that way. And I got about 2.5 years into it, and my life trying to run all this stuff was crazy. It was insane. All I did was work. Sunday was a day to try to catch everything up, so that hopefully when I went back on Monday, I was able to be in a place where I could start tackling whatever was coming at me and not continuously working on what was happening the week before. And it just got worse and worse and worse and worse. And in the meantime, other cosmetology schools popped up that had accreditation, which allowed them for more monetary and financial advancement, which we didn't have. Our funding that we had up front was lost due to a lot of issues on the build out, and I networked my way into working with a coach, a personal coach. It was a recommendation from some people that I'd been talking to about potentially buying into the salon professional academy that I owned and helping me financially to continue to move this forward. And I had this conversation with this guy, and it just blew my mind, because really what I got out of it was what I'm doing with my life isn't working. And it wasn't working for me. I wasn't happy. I didn't have any joy in my life. It was terrible. you know, I had put all of this time and effort into growing these businesses and helping others to grow their businesses and grow their life and build their clientele and build their careers. And I had a lot of success with that. But in the meantime, like, I gave myself away, basically. And, you know, I kind of wanted to at the time. Like, it was what I wanted to do. And I just had this realization after speaking with this coach that, oh my God, this isn't working. And you know, when you say something out loud for the first time, you're like, this sucks. This is horrible. So I had to go through this whole mental kind of visualization of what my life would be like without the salon, without the school. What was I going to do? I had given my clientele away pretty much to all my stylists because I wasn't available to do hair as much anymore. Not to mention I went through back surgery in the middle of all this. Like, there's some crazy shit that went down. And I just kept, like, plugging on, right? Keep going. You got to keep doing it. And you do. Okay, fine. But at a certain point, you got to make a decision. Is my life worth this? I didn't have any friends. My relationship was being completely neglected. I didn't see my family. For what, really? Like, to potentially build something to sell later on so that you could have a nice retirement? Well, okay, that's a great story. I told myself, but let's be honest. I want to live, right? So this all happened right when I turned 40, and I had this amazing epiphany from the universe that was like, you're going forward in a totally different direction. And I went out on my own. I have a studio. I closed everything down in October of 2017, and let me tell you, I went and had some fun for a couple years, okay, because I needed a goddamn break. Like, I needed to figure out who I was. Like, what do I want? What am I going to do, you know? And in the meantime, I met some really neat people. I've made some incredibly close friends and relationships since that time. My own personal relationship has grown in such amazing ways. My family relationships have completely done a 180, and it's just like, I feel like I'm back where I am. And I got back to music. Before I started doing hair, I was super into music. I thought I was going to do something with music as a career, and it just didn't pan out that way. I found hair, and like, my life changed, and it was amazing as well. But I got back to writing music and playing the piano and really being focused on being creative and finding my inspiration again. Inspiration is like the most important thing to do when you're either doing a creative job or you're doing any old job, because you need a creative outlet in order to express who you are. It's just how it goes. And music is that for me. So when I'm listening to music or when I'm creating music, the ideas that come to me to my life are phenomenal. And it gives me the insight to see and hear all that stuff. So I'm so excited that I was able to do that. And now here we sit at home. I'm getting ready to go back to work on Tuesday. I'm a little nervous, I'll be honest. Everybody else is nervous too. But, you know, here we go. We're going to start something new. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to give this stuff back. I've taken a lot in over the last 23 years. It's been amazing. But it's time to share it. I've had people share some things with me that have been incredible and changed my life. I want to share these things with you. I also want to build a community. And I believe that this channel on YouTube could be a way to do that. So this is where I'm coming from. This is why this channel is going to exist. And I'm just going to keep on plugging stuff in. I got a lot to share. There's a lot that's gone down over the last 23 years, and I think it's really important that I put it out there. So stay tuned. Subscribe. There's going to be a lot of stuff to come. I've got a lot of plans and formats that I'm putting together to share with everybody. And I hope that, I get to connect with some of you at some point. If as questions come up and things happen, there's going to be ways to contact if you need to or like to, or questions about anything. Super happy to do so. But in the meantime, check back there's going to be more. I'm so excited to see it, to speak to all of you. Okay, we'll see you again.